Hey everybody, it's Pat Collins, aka the Big PH, signing on one more time. Why not? And a lot of stuff has happened in the world of wrestling since I have been on my hiatus. But the most important thing, the blockbuster event that has taken place, was the launch of the WWE Network. Now, before any of y'all ask, I do have the WWE Network. I watch it every day. I love it. I would sell my kids for it, all 5 of them. I don't like those little motherfuckers anyway. Really? I didn't. Okay. Great. Yeah. Like I said, Botch Fest. Anyway, so I love the WWE Network. And the reason I love it is because you can watch any WWE pay-per-view, any ECW pay-per-view, any WCW pay-per-view in history. Now, they did promise some things that they didn't deliver on just yet, which, like, they promised every Raw, they promised every SmackDown, all ECW TV, all WCW TV, and, those are being released in intervals, and they made it sound like you're going to get that stuff on the day of launch, but I can understand why they're spacing it out a little bit, give them extra content, actually, so people can look forward to some stuff and don't burn themselves out on it. But hey, I think right now it's doing great, and for people like me, I love all wrestling. I love it all from back in the '70s to today. If I could even get older than that, I'll be down to watch it. I just love wrestling, but for people like my boy Nick, he only likes the years 95 to 2005. Now, this is perfect for him because he can watch all his favorite shows. And, and actually, he loves the Attitude Era, so he can watch all that shit, relive his childhood. And for people like my mom's boyfriend, he likes the older wrestling, like the 80s, the Hogan era. And, and he can watch that. So for anybody, for any era of time, you can get your wrestling fix right here in your arm, buddy. But hey, I decided that I was going to watch the year 1999. It's one of the first years I can actually remember being a huge fan of wrestling and something that got me into the sport and, made me fall in love with it for the rest of my life. Now, if anybody wondering why I'm not so hyped today, it's because I'm kind of tired and I'm just kicking it. I'm just chilling, kicking back. I'm actually half laying down right now. But I'm still going to bust out this review of the Royal Rumble 1999. No chance in hell. Because that's what you got. Shit, that's what I got to. Yeah. But hey, as with most Royal Rumbles, this was basically a one-match show, the Royal Rumble itself. But then they also had a classic-ass main event. But let's start with the opener, Road Dogg versus the Big Boss Man. Now, this whole show basically focused on the corporation versus the entire WWE. One of the great things about the WWE at this time is they had teams, they had factions, and they kept these factions together for a while. They had DX, the Ministry, the Corporation, and Stone Cold was his own faction, of course. But they had all these mid-carders elevated to main event status because of the factions and because of who they were involved with. And not only that, but the first thing I noticed that as soon as I started this show is the crowd. Now, the crowd went crazy for everybody. They treated everybody like a main event star. Think about what that would do for today's product if everybody was treated like a main eventer. It would just boost everything, skyrocket all these people up from the mid-card into the main event just by how people treat them and react to them. All these people like Boss Man, like Test. These people were treated like main eventers because the crowd was into it. The crowd was into everything. And so the first match was DX's Road Dogg against the Corporation's Big Boss Man. At the time, the Boss Man was half of the tag team champions and the Road Dogg was the hardcore champ. That was a decent opener. Boss Man wins. But like I said, the main thing I took away from this is the crowd was pumped. The next match was Shamrock of the Corporation, Ken Shamrock, versus Badass Billy Gunn of DX. Now, at the time, Shamrock was the Intercontinental Champion and half of the Tag Team Champion. Now, why? It's because Shamrock is legit. Before there was Brock Lesnar, there was Ken Shamrock. And Ken Shamrock was a legit MMA star. You could tell just by the way he carried himself, by the way he looked, that he was legit. He will beat your ass and wouldn't be afraid of anything. And, I think that's why he got over so much. And that's why WWE continues to try to go to the MMA well, because it works. Hey, if you have a legit fighter in there, it legitimizes the sport. Might as well. But Shamrock goes over on this one. Val Venis makes a run in, for no reason, because it doesn't, he tries to knock Shamrock out, but it doesn't work. He still wins, but it's setting up something down the road, with him and his sister. But anyway, Shamrock, the legit Shamrock, comes out the victor of this one. The next one was X-Pac versus Gangrel. This was a throwaway match. Gangrel was part of the Ministry at the time. X-Pac was part of DX. And this was for the European title, which X-Pac held, and he kept the title. The thing about this match is that Teddy Long was the referee. And I'll tell you this. If you thought Teddy Long was a bad general manager, he was an even worse referee. I didn't even know he was a referee. But now that I know I'm glad that he's not, because he can't even make a decent 3 count. He did 3, 1, 2, 3, and then he continued the match because he fucked up. He did more botches than X-Pac, which is saying something. After that was for the women's championship was Sable versus Luna in a strap match. Now, the point of this match is that they're connected by a strap and they got to touch all 4 corners of the ring. Now, I hate these matches, and I've only probably seen about 2, maybe 3 in my entire life that have been entertaining matches, and I'll tell you, this is not one of them at all. And this has actually proved why these matches suck. So, don't watch it unless you're like me and you're doing a review on the show and you're just going to tell people how awful it is. Just skip over this one. It's not worth it. Next, we get to the main event, or the semi-main event, because the Rumble's should always be the main event. And I'm looking at you, WWE, when you did fucking Royal Rumble 2013 and made Punk Rock the main event. I don't care if Rock was winning the title that night. The Royal Rumble is the main event. But for this, it was The Rock, again, against Mankind in an I Quit match. And this is just a famous match from the Attitude Era. It was in the peak of their feud, and these guys had one of the most brutal, bloodiest feuds of the Attitude Era, and where they just exchanged the title back and forth. At the time, Mankind was champion, and he was part of the corporation, and then the corporation turned on Mankind, and they decided to make The Rock the corporate champion. So it was The Rock with the corporation against Mankind. Now, this match is famous for quite a few spots. The one spot I love is actually a botch spot. It was where The Rock tried to rock bottom Mankind through the Spanish announce table, and he fucks up, and they just fall and collapse. And they always show that in the "Don't Try This at Home" videos. So I love that. And then there's where he throws Mankind off. They're fighting in the crowd, and he throws him 10 feet down. And he hits the electrical equipment, and it causes a blackout. That's a great spot. But the main thing this is famous for is the 10 chair shots that The Rock hits on Mankind to his exposed head. He was handcuffed at the time, so he was not blocking it at all, and got 10 stiff chair shots to the head. And at the time, if any of you have seen Beyond the Ring, and if you haven't, how dare you call yourself a wrestling fan? No, I'm joking. But for real, if you like wrestling, even in the latest, Beyond the Ring is one of the greatest wrestling documentaries ever made, and possibly the best. And you should probably watch it. It's really good. But Mick Foley's family was in the crowd at the time watching this, his 2 little children, and they were crying so hard they had to leave. They had to leave early because of how bad he was getting his ass beat. And even after the match, Mick Foley said that he wasn't sure, if if he deserved all those chair, if The Rock was going to keep him safe with all those chair shots. But 10 chair shots to the exposed head, and he literally knocks Mick Foley out. And so when he puts the microphone to his mouth and he says, "I quit," it comes over the PA system, and everybody noticed that it's not really Mankind's voice. It was a recording, and everybody was pissed about it. And, that just continues their feud. But like I said, the whole show revolved around the corporation versus the world. And it really revolved around McMahon against Austin. The biggest feud, I don't care what anyone says, that is the biggest feud of the Attitude Era. McMahon, Austin. In the Rumble. Austin was number 1, McMahon was number 2. Now, HBK had set that up because he was the general manager at the time, the commish, and, there was a lot of rules going into this. If Austin hit McMahon anytime before the bell rang, he would automatically lose his chance at the WWF title, no matter what. He would lose his chance. And so they get in the... And on top of that, McMahon put a $10,000 bounty on Stone Cold's head. So whoever eliminated Stone Cold would be $10,000 richer, giving them a little bit of extra incentive. So these guys fight. They roll out of the ring very near the beginning of the match. They roll out of the ring, they fight through the crowd, and then they end up in a women's restroom where Stone Cold gets jumped by the entire corporation, gets put on a stretcher, thrown in the ambulance. Now, fast forward to the end of the night. It was a really good Rumble, by the way. Edge put on a really good performance. There was a couple of good performers, but I think that Edge was one of the breakout stars. Like, you could tell that he was going to be a star. He was going to be a main eventer just from his performance alone. If you've never even watched Edge, and he proved us all that he was a star. And so, but fast forward to the end, Stone Cold comes back in the ambulance, and it's Stone Cold McMahon again. They're the last two people, and it looks like Stone Cold's about to go on and win the Royal Rumble for the 3rd time in a row. But no, not if you smell what The Rock is cooking, because The Rock was cooking up some bullshit. He decided to go to the ring, run a little interference, distract Stone Cold, so McMahon could throw him over the top. And what, McMahon, the number 1 contender for the WWF title. Now, for those of you that know history, know that this isn't how exactly it ended up. But at the time, it was like, wow, McMahon, a non-wrestler winning the Royal Rumble. And some people diss on it to this day, but you know what? I thought it was great for story. I thought it was great for their feud, and I just thought it was great TV. It was entertaining, even when I was a kid. I may have hated it because I was like, McMahon, go Stone Cold. But now it was good for business, and they knew what was good for business back then. No one can deny that. But overall, it was a good pay-per-view. It might have only been a 2-match show, but those 2 matches are well worth the price of admission. So if you haven't seen the I Quit match and you haven't seen the Rumble, go and check it out. Or watch all of it. Why not? You know why? Because you can on the WWE Network. You can, and I know you probably will. I know I'm going to go watch some more wrestling because I am going to be reviewing 1999 as a year as a whole for all the pay-per-views. The next one will be In Your House, St. Valentine's Day Massacre. Look for that coming up in a day or two. And actually, my Ring of Honor reviews are going to be up here soon too, because I actually can watch Ring of Honor on TV in Oklahoma. Can you believe that shit? What? But just so keep an eye out for these videos. Watch the Rumble. Order the WWE Network. Watch your favorite pay-per-view. Tell me your favorite pay-per-view. I'll review it. If you actually like my shit, why not? But hey, this is based that. So do your thing. I'm gonna do my thing. And tomorrow I got another video coming up that I know you're gonna love, I'm gonna love, and everyone's gonna love. And it's probably gonna get the most views on my YouTube channel besides that stupid fucking George Zimmerman live reaction, which is still the number 1 viewed video on my channel. But other than that, I know it's gonna get me a lot of views. This next one coming up tomorrow, so be careful with it. It's gonna burn you. But hey, that's all for me for right now. This is the Big PH, Pat Collins, signing off. Peace, deuces, and I love you, and I love you, and I love you. Oh yes, I do.